The Grand Council Chamber of the Galactic Alliance stood silent. Ambassador Crix looked at the empty seat that had gathered dust for 300 years. It was the human seat. No one spoke about it anymore, but everyone remembered the day humanity disappeared. 3 centuries ago, Earth went dark. Not destroyed, not conquered, just silent. Every human colony, every ship, every outpost vanished in a single night. The other races searched for years. They found empty cities, abandoned space stations, and ships floating dead in space, but no humans. Not even bodies dotted first. The galaxy panicked. Humans had been the mediators, the traders, the ones who kept peace between hostile species. Without them, old enemies started fighting again. The Vorth Empire attacked the Kellan systems. The Drax invaded neutral zones. Wars spread like wildfire across the galaxy. Commander Trell of the Vorth fleet stood on his bridge, watching his newest conquest burn. Another Kellan world had fallen. His soldiers were efficient, brutal. They had learned much from studying old human military texts left behind. But something felt wrong today. "Sir, we're detecting an energy signature," his sensor officer said. "It's single quotes S. massive." "From where?" "The dead zone." "Sector 7. Trell's scales turned pale. Sector 7 was where Earth used to be. No one went there anymore. Ships that entered never returned. The entire sector was marked as a navigation hazard. "It's moving toward us." The officer's voice shook. "Sir, it's huge. Bigger than our entire fleet combined." The view screen flickered to life. What appeared made every warrior on the bridge step back in fear. A ship emerged from the darkness. No, not a ship, a fortress. It stretched across space like a metal mountain, bristling with weapons that defied understanding. Its hull was black, as space itself, covered in geometric patterns that hurt to look at. It dwarfed their largest battleship like an ocean dwarfs a puddle. But it wasn't alone. Behind it, more shapes emerged. Dozens, hundreds, each one impossibly large, impossibly complex. They moved in perfect formation, silent as death itself. On the lead vessel's hull, ancient Earth symbols glowed with blue fire. UNSC Retribution. Inside the Retribution's command center, Admiral James stood with his hands behind his back. His eyes were harder than the steel around him. 300 years of preparation. 300 years of building, learning, evolving. Humanity hadn't vanished. They had transformed. "Sir, we're receiving transmissions from the Vorth fleet. They're asking for identification." "Open a channel," James ordered. His voice carried the weight of centuries. Commander Trell's image appeared on screen, trying to look confident but failing. "Unknown vessels. This is Vorth military space. Identify yourselves or—" "Commander Trell," James interrupted. "You're?" "Currently bombing Kellan Colony Beta 5. Population, 12 million civilians. Ceasefire immediately." "Who are you two?" The lights on every Vorth ship suddenly died. Their engines stopped. Their weapons powered down. In an instant, the entire fleet hung helpless in space. "We are humanity," James said simply. "We've returned." Back in the Alliance Council chamber, alarm screamed. Every ambassador, every species representative watched their screens in disbelief. The dead zone was erupting with activity. Massive. Structures were emerging, things that shouldn't exist, couldn't exist. Ambassador Crix's translator struggled with the incoming message. It was in old Earth standard, a language no one had heard in 3 centuries. "To all species of the former Galactic Alliance, humanity has returned. We've been watching. We've seen your wars, your cruelty, your abandonment of everything we tried to build together. That ends now." The message continued as images flooded their screens. Ships that bent reality around them. Stations the size of moons. Mechanical giants that stood guard over entire solar systems. Humanity hadn't just survived, they had become something beyond imagination. We offer you a choice, the message concluded. Peace under our protection, or face the consequences of your actions. You have one standard day to decide. The chamber erupted in chaos. Some called for war, others for surrender. But deep down, everyone knew the truth. The children had returned home. And they had become gods. Asterisk, the Fourth Fleet hung motionless in space, trapped by technology they couldn't understand. Commander Trell stood frozen on his bridge, watching the impossible unfold before him. His weapons officer frantically pressed controls that no longer responded. Sir, all systems are locked. We can't even send a distress signal. Below them, the Kellen colony continued to burn from their bombardment. But now something else was happening. Smaller vessels, if anything human-built, could be called small, descended toward the planet. They were sleek, angular things that moved like liquid mercury through space. Admiral James watched from the Retribution's command center. Deploy the restoration units. Every life lost will be remembered. The rescue ships spread across the burning colony like a gentle rain. Where they passed, fires died. Where they touched, wounds healed. Force fields materialized around damaged cities, holding an atmosphere, while construction drones rebuilt walls in minutes instead of years. The dying were pulled from rubble by machines that moved with impossible grace. On the planet's surface, a Kellen child named Dana watched through a broken window. Her home was gone, her parents trapped under debris. She had been crying for hours. Then the giants came. They dropped from the sky, mechanical beings taller than buildings, moving with careful precision through her ruined city. One knelt beside her collapsed home. Its massive hands pulled away tons of concrete like paper. Inside its chest, she could see a human pilot surrounded by glowing displays. Found survivors, the pilot, Captain Mark, reported. 2 adults, injured but stable. The giant's hands transformed, becoming a medical bay that enveloped her parents. Within moments, their wounds closed, their breathing steadied. They were lifted out, confused but alive. Dana looked up at the giant's face, a visor that somehow seemed kind. "Thank you," she whispered. The giant nodded and moved on. There were thousands more to save. In the Alliance Council chamber, Ambassador Crix received reports from across the galaxy. It wasn't just the Fourth Fleet. Every active battleground had been frozen. The Drax invasion force at Sigma Prime stopped. Mid-assault. The Zelton raiders in the outer, rim-powered down and helpless. Even the ancient hive mind ships that everyone feared motionless. How? Asked Ambassador Vera of the Kellen Republic. How can they control everyone's technology? The answer came from Earth itself. For the first time in 3 centuries, a transmission originated from humanity's homeworld. We spent 300 years in the quantum layer, the message explained. It showed images of vast underground cities, of humans learning to manipulate reality at its fundamental level. We discovered that all technology, all matter, all energy sings the same song at its core. We learned to conduct that symphony. The images showed more. Humans hadn't just hidden, they had evolved. Neural implants that connected minds across light years. Bodies enhanced to survive in any environment. Children born in zero gravity who thought in 4 dimensions. They had become something between organic and digital, between matter and energy. Back at Beta 5, Commander Trell watched the restoration in bitter silence. His grand conquest was being undone in hours. The colony he had spent weeks destroying was being rebuilt in real time. "You could have stopped us earlier," he said to Admiral James through the communication link. "Why wait until now?" "We hoped you would choose peace on your own," James replied. We gave you 3 centuries to prove you could exist without us holding your hands. You failed. So now you'll conquer us instead? No, we'll protect you. From yourselves, if necessary. A new signal reached every ship, every world, every species simultaneously. It was a map view of the galaxy as humanity now saw it. Invisible to normal sensors, a vast network surrounded everything. Sentinel stations at every jump point. Guardian platforms around every inhabited world. Defense grids that could stop a supernova. The infrastructure was always there, the message explained. We built it in dimensions you cannot perceive. Every world you've fought over, every system you've claimed, we've been watching, waiting, hoping you would mature. But children with nuclear weapons cannot be left unsupervised. The Vorth fleet's power suddenly returned, but their weapons remained locked. You may leave, Admiral James told Trell. Return to your empire. Tell them what you've seen. Tomorrow, representatives from every human vessel will visit every capital. The age of endless war is over. As the Vorth retreated, Commander Trell looked back at the human fleet. They weren't conquerors. They were parents, returning to find their children had burned down the house, and now they would rebuild it. Whether the children liked it or not. Asterisk. Emperor Drex sat in his war room, surrounded by his greatest generals. The holographic displays showed human vessels appearing throughout his empire. They didn't attack, they just watched, like parents observing misbehaving children. We have 1,000,000 ships, General Korn snarled. Let them come. We'll show these humans that 3 centuries haven't made them gods. 1,000,000 ships that they can turn off with a thought, Emperor Drex replied, his forearms clasped in thought. Did you not see what happened to the Vorth? The door to the war room opened. It shouldn't have been possible. The security was absolute. But there stood a human, not in armor, not with weapons, just a woman in a simple gray uniform. Hello, Emperor Drex. I'm Ambassador Lisa. We need to talk. Every guard raised their weapons. Energy blasts, projectiles, plasma rounds, all fired at once. The human didn't move. The attack simply stopped existing a meter from her body, dissolving into sparkles of light. That's not very polite, Lisa said, walking forward. Reality seemed to bend around her, as if space itself moved aside to let her pass. We came back to find you've killed 18 billion sentients in your wars. Did you think there wouldn't be consequences? We don't answer to you. General Korn stood, reaching for his blade. Lisa looked at him, just looked. The general froze. Mid-motion, his body locked in space. Sick, she said quietly. He sat. Emperor Drex had ruled through fear for 50 years. Now, for the first time, he felt it himself. What do you want? Justice, Lisa replied, and change. She waved her hand. The air shimmered, and suddenly they weren't in the war room anymore. They stood in a vast space filled with light. Emperor Drex could see other figures leaders from every major power, all brought here instantly. Welcome to the Council of Shadows. A voice echoed. At the center stood Admiral James and other human leaders. But they looked different here. Their forms shifted between solid and light, between human and something more. This is where decisions will be made. President Heck of the Zelton Federation protested. You can't just kidnap us, and we didn't kidnap you, James interrupted. Your bodies are still in your capitals. We borrowed your consciousness for this meeting. Your minds exist here, while your bodies continue their daily routines. No one even knows you're gone. The gathered leaders looked at each other in shock. They could feel it was true. They were in 2 places at once. Impossible, whispered the Hive Queen. Our consciousness is distributed across billions. You cannot, we can, James said simply. We've had 3 centuries to master consciousness itself. We know every thought, every memory, every crime each of you has committed. The space around them changed, showing images. Wars started for profit. Genocides hidden from the public. Children starved while leaders built palaces. Every secret sin, every hidden atrocity, displayed for all to see. You turned the galaxy into a slaughterhouse, Lisa said. 40 trillion dead since we left. Entire species extinct. Worlds burned for resources. Children sold as slaves. Commander. Trell was there too, forced to watch his own crimes played back. The colonies he had destroyed. The civilians he had executed. The prisoners he had tortured. So kill us, Emperor Drex said defiantly. Take your revenge. No, James replied. Death would be mercy. You will live. You will remember. And you will fix what you broke. The human leaders moved forward. As they approached each alien leader, something changed. Knowledge flooded their minds, not painful, but overwhelming. They suddenly knew what every victim felt. Every fear, every loss, every moment of despair their wars had caused. Emperor Drex fell to his knees, tears streaming from all 6 eyes. General Korn, the butcher of 100 worlds, sobbed like a child. Even the Hive Queen's vast consciousness reeled from the weight of understanding. This is your punishment, Lisa said. Perfect empathy. You will feel what others feel. Their pain will be your pain. Their joy, your joy. You can never turn it off, never forget. But with the punishment came something else. Knowledge of how to rebuild. Technologies to heal worlds. Methods to resurrect dead ecosystems. Ways to undo the damage. You have 1 year, James announced. Use what we've given you. Fix your worlds. End your wars. Build instead of destroy. We'll be watching. The vision faded. Each leader found themselves back in their capitals, but changed. They could feel every citizen's emotion, every soldier's fear, every child's hunger. Emperor Drex looked at his generals. He could feel their bloodlust, and it made him sick. The wars are over, he said. Call back every fleet. We have work to do. 6 months had passed since humanity's return. The galaxy looked different now. Where war fleets once gathered, construction ships worked. Where weapons factories stood, hospitals rose. The transformation was not without resistance. On the former battlefield of Kepler Station, Captain Mark supervised the conversion. His giant mechanical suit, what humans called a Titan, worked alongside thousands of others. They were turning the debris of 1,000 battles into a space habitat for refugees. Another protest fleet incoming, his lieutenant, Tom, reported. The Free Warriors faction. They say we're destroying their culture. Mark sighed. Some species had built their entire identity around warfare. Taking that away left them lost. The Free Warriors' ships approached, weapons hot. Their leader, Warrior Prime Rex, broadcasted across all channels. Humans, you have no right to castrate our people. War is our way, and look where it got you, Mark replied. He gestured at the graveyard of ships around them. 100 billion. Dead? For what? Glory? Honor? Resources you could have shared? Better to die free than live as slaves. Mark's Titan turned to face them. You're not slaves. You're patients, and we're the doctors. The Free Warriors opened fire. Hundreds of missiles, energy beams, and projectiles streaked toward the construction site. Mark didn't move. Neither did any human vessel. The attacks hit. A barrier that shouldn't exist. Not a shield, something else. The weapons simply forgot how to be weapons. Missiles became metal sculptures. Energy beams turned into light shows. Bullets transformed into flower petals that drifted harmlessly in space. How? Rex demanded. We rewrote the laws of physics in this region, Mark explained patiently. Violence is literally impossible here. Your weapons won't work. Your fists won't connect. Even angry thoughts get softened. We call them peace fields. Rex's crew tried everything. Nothing worked. They couldn't even damage their own ships in frustration. Meanwhile, on Earth, the real work continued. The planet had been transformed into something beyond imagination. Cities that existed in multiple dimensions. Forests that grew and crystallized. Time. Oceans that connected to every water source in the galaxy through quantum tunnels. Admiral James stood in the Global Command Center, watching millions of screens at once. His enhanced mind could process them all simultaneously. Every conflict, every crisis, every cry for help across the galaxy reached him instantly. The Fourth Empire is requesting more medical ships, an operator reported. They found survivors from the Theta massacre. Thousands in stasis for decades. Send the Mercy Fleet, James ordered. Full restoration protocols. The Kellans want to know if we can restore their dead son. Tell them yes. The Starforge will arrive in 3 days. Each request was met. Each problem solved. Humanity had become the galaxy's guardian, whether others liked it or not. But in the shadows, resistance grew. In a hidden station beyond mapped space, the galaxy's former warlords met in secret. Emperor Drex was there, fighting against the empathy forced upon him. Commander Trell, trying to suppress his newfound conscience. The Hive Queen, her vast mind struggling against human conditioning. They've made us weak, Drex spat. I can't even think about war without feeling sick. There must be a way to fight back, Trell insisted. They're not gods. They're just humans with better technology. Are they? The Hive Queen's millions of voices spoke as one. I've analyzed their technology. It doesn't follow any known science. They're not using physics. They're rewriting it. A new voice joined them. You're right. We're not gods. They spun around. Lisa stood there, having appeared from nowhere. How did you find us? Drex demanded. We never lost you. She smiled sadly. Did you think we gave you empathy as punishment? It's a gift. The ability to truly understand others. It's what makes us human. We don't want your gifts. No, you want your wars back. Your simple world where might makes right. Lisa walked among them, and they found they couldn't move. Let me show you. Something. Reality shifted. They stood in a place that wasn't a place, the quantum layer where humanity had spent 3 centuries. They could see the universe as humans saw it. Not stars and planets, but infinite possibilities. Every choice. Creating new realities. Every life a symphony of potential. We didn't just hide here, Lisa explained. We experienced every possible future. Every path your wars could take. They all end the same way: extinction. Every single one. She showed them. Billions of possible futures with a galaxy's wars. Continued, each one ending in darkness. Species extinct. Worlds dead. The galaxy itself consumed by conflict. We're not your conquerors, Lisa said. We're your last chance. 1 year had passed since humanity's return. Today, the galaxy would learn if it had passed the test. Every leader, every species, every world waited. The human fleet, those impossible ships that had appeared from nowhere, began to move. They converged on a single point in space, forming a pattern that hurt to look at. Admiral James stood ready to address the galaxy. But first, he had visitors. Emperor Drex entered the Retribution's bridge. He looked different now. The forced empathy had changed him. His eyes, once cold, now carried the weight of understanding. Behind him came others: Commander Trell, the Hive Queen's avatar, President Heck, Ambassador Crix, former enemies standing together. We've done as you asked, Drex said. The wars have ended. The reconstruction is underway. But what now? Will you rule us forever? James smiled. Look at what you've accomplished. The screens showed the galaxy's transformation. The Fourth Empire had become the galaxy's largest humanitarian force. Their warriors now rescued instead of conquered. The Dracs had turned their weapon factories into terraforming stations, bringing dead worlds back to life. The Hive Queen had shared her vast consciousness, creating a network where species could truly understand each other. You did this, James said. Not us. We just showed you the way. But the peace fields, the technology, locks are being removed. James waved his hand. Across the galaxy, the restrictions vanished. Weapons worked again. Ships could fight again. You have free will once more. The leaders looked at each other, feeling the difference. They could think about war without pain. They could plan violence without sickness. But something had changed. They remembered what it felt like to truly understand their enemies. You're leaving again, Commander Trell said. It wasn't a question. No, we're evolving again. James gestured to the human fleet. And this time, you're invited to join us. The human ships began to transform. They dissolved into light, then reformed as something impossible structures that existed between reality and dream. Cities of pure thought, worlds made of living energy. We've outgrown physical form, Lisa explained, her body flickering between solid and light. The next step in evolution isn't biological or technological. It's transcendent. We exist now as consciousness itself, able to be anywhere, everywhere, or nowhere. And you want us to become like you? The Hive Queen asked. We want you to choose your own path, James replied. Some humans chose to remain physical. They'll stay and help you rebuild. Others have gone ahead, exploring dimensions you can't imagine yet. The choice is yours. A new voice spoke not through speakers, but directly into every mind in the galaxy. It was all of transcended humanity speaking as one. We leave you with gifts. The knowledge to heal any wound. The wisdom to see beyond yourselves. The technology to reach the stars you've never dreamed of. But most importantly, we leave you with each other. The human fleet continued its transformation. Ships became gardens of light. Weapons became tools of creation. The massive titans dissolved into seeds that would grow into world trees. Living space stations that could nurture entire civilizations. On Beta 5, young Ghana watched the sky change. The human giants that had saved her were transforming too. Captain Mark's Titan knelt one last time. We're not leaving, he told her. We're just changing. When you need us, we'll be there. Not as saviors, but as friends. His Titan became light, then reformed as something beautiful, a guardian spirit that would watch over her world, visible only to those who truly needed help. Emperor. Drex found himself crying not from the forced empathy, but from genuine emotion. Why? He asked James. Why trust us? We've proven we're monsters. Because we were monsters once too, James replied. Every species goes through this. The choice between destruction and transcendence. We made our choice. Now make yours. The transcended humans began to fade, not disappearing, but becoming something else. They existed now in the space between spaces, the thought between thoughts. Always there, never imposing. Commander Trell looked at his former enemies, Drex, Heck, Crix. Without the human restrictions, they could fight again. They could restart their wars. But they all felt it the memory of perfect understanding. We have a choice, Trell said. We can go back to what we were. Or we can become something better. The Hive Queen's billions of voices spoke. We choose better. One by one they agreed, not because they were forced, but because they remembered what it felt like to truly understand each other. The galaxy had been given a second chance. And this time they would not waste it. In the space between stars, humanity watched and smiled. The children were finally growing up. Asterisk.